Hey, this is Ed.
And Heather.
And we're from the Squared Circle Expo, and you are listening to the WrestleHorror podcast.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WrestleHorror.
Greetings, viewers and listeners. Meathook Jim here, the WrestleHorror podcast. As always, my co-host Donnie Hoover. Donnie, Pennywise's balloon doesn't look quite right now.
Yeah, no, I got it blowed up back to normal. It's not softball size anymore. It's weird shape, but it's up there.
But enough about Pennywise the balloon. We're here to talk with the other half of Squared Circle Expo. 2 weeks ago, we talked with Adolfo Dorda, and this time we're going to talk to Ed Gonzales and Hardcore Heather Owens. Guys, welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on, especially it's a very timely show. This is going to be up right the week before Squared Circle starts, and I know everybody's really excited about it. And you guys have made some announcements just recently of more talent that's coming in.
You know, the talent keeps coming because you know what? Here's the thing. In real life, like when we started planning this a long time ago. Yeah. And when I tell you a long time ago,
years,
we started planning Squared Circle Expo in 2019 with the goal to run in May of 2020. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you know, the world caught on fire,
right?
And we couldn't do that. So now we're here in 2021, May, and we're finally able to get this thing going. But when we first started, there was nerves about, like, who are we going to get on this thing? How are we going to get them there? What are we going to do? And we're to the point now where they're calling us. Hey, man, I heard you're doing a good show, man. Can we get on? How do we get on? So you'll see a bunch of faces and names announced probably right up until the day that we start, and possibly that day as well.
Right. So it sounds like you guys got over that hump of you having to reach out to people, and now people are starting to reach out to you.
Absolutely, man. I think we're at that point in the world where people just want to get out and do stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh God, so I'm one of them. That's for sure. So I'm tired of it.
We're definitely getting excited about this, and just like you said, just to get out because the world's been on hold for so long, and you know all the buzz that's going on about Squared Circle Expo, all the wrestling fans in this, and not just the Midwest but around the country, are really excited about this show.
Yeah, we've got. I want to say now this is more Adolfo's area than mine, but I want to say he said we have sold tickets in 30 some odd states and even a few countries, nice. Which is kind of insane. I would like to think that's, you know, we were just planning this small Midwest, you know, convention, and it has gone so far beyond the Midwest that it's crazy to me, because we initially, you know, I'm sure Adolfo, I haven't had a chance to listen to the other podcast yet, but I will, I promise. I'm not sure Adolfo mentioned how we came from the horror side of things in the convention world. But when we were talking about possibly doing wrestling, you know, we found, you know, that most of them that were either on the West Coast, on the East Coast, or wherever WrestleMania was. Right. There was nowhere in the middle of the country that really had that convention vibe. Now, there are other places. I like to explain to people, there are wrestling shows that happen to have stars signing autographs. Well, we have stars signing autographs where there happens to be a wrestling show. So it's a little bit different than some of the other ones in the Midwest, because I'm not talking bad about them. It's just a different flavor of ice cream.
Right, absolutely. And yeah, you mentioned Adolfo's episode, and he did talk a little bit about it. He mentioned about where he kind of kept his name under wraps for a while, just because he wanted it to grow organically and not just because he was a part of it.
Right.
So that was going to be one of my questions. How did you guys get involved? And if you want to talk about which horror convention you came from, that's totally fine. And is that where you guys met and came up with this idea, or how did that all play out?
Yeah, I'd rather not mention that other horror convention. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no.
All right.
But I actually took him to, because I used to go to horror conventions all the time, and he had never been to one, and we just, we were together for, maybe a year, maybe.
God, we were young.
Yeah.
Oh, we're old now.
Yeah. So I ended up taking him and our friend Dustin Thomas, and we went to, was it Indianapolis?
It was Indianapolis for Horror Hound. I'll mention them.
Yeah, so that was his first, horror convention, and it was just like, just that atmosphere was, something different.
Yeah.
And then they announced, the other convention that we were affiliated with, and we went to that, and it was one of their very first shows, I think.
It was the very first show.
Yeah, that we ended up going to, and just the atmosphere, everything, we just got drawn in, because both of us huge horror fans, wrestling fans, so it was just great.
So for me, I spent almost 20 years in the pro wrestling business. So, when you've spent that much time in actual wrestling, you learn a specific set of skills. All right. And with that set of skills, one of them is, I don't like to pay full price for anything. All right. So, I had made a kinship with the staff of that other convention. And one of those staff members happened to be Adolfo. And my original goal was just, I don't want to pay full price. That was my plan.
Good plan.
Then, almost 10 years later, that turned into us being a part of the convention. It turned into us, being, Adolfo became one of my best friends. And all I wanted was a free meal at the convention.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, that's kind of how it went there.
Oh, I've got to say that I actually, at the other convention, I had gone to several of those. And I actually met Adolfo because I used to work, I still do. I work for another podcast called Big Scary Show. And we have been at several of those shows. And when I was communicating through your Gmail account, and he finally told me who he was, it's like, dude, I know you. Let's talk. And that's how we struck it up and got him on the show and everything. So it's great to have you guys on here, because he spoke very highly of both of you during the interview.
Oh, he lied the whole time. He lied.
Well, he had it written down on a piece of paper. I'll give you that.
You've been to those other conventions and you saw some chubby, good-looking dude walking around in Zubaz pants and a fanny pack. That was me.
I probably did. But the correlation between horror and wrestling is one thing that has really fascinated us. And going to those conventions, I got to meet Sting, who was just, he was top of my list.
Sure.
But wrestlers seem to gravitate to horror conventions.
I have a theory on this, because for realistically, when that other convention was running, they were booking Roddy Piper, but Roddy Piper had that horror connection, not just wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, as the years went on, it became Roddy Piper and another wrestler. And then it became Roddy Piper and another wrestler and two more wrestlers, and so on and so forth. I would like to think that was my influence of doing all that. But I have a theory. Now you guys can debunk this, but this is what I've got in my brain.
Okay.
The biggest heyday, at least in my lifetime, in pro wrestling was the 1980s. True?
Agreed.
So horror films, at least in my lifetime, I think its biggest boom was also the 1980s.
No argument.
So I think the kids that grew up on Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage were also growing up on Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger. So I think that's why they mesh so well, is because they both existed at the same time.
Agree. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, the 80s were just amazing. And, I was looking at Heather's Wikipedia before we got online here. And I just, let me just say that I graduated high school when you were born, which was in 80s.
It's all lies. She lies on that Wikipedia all the time.
Yeah. I know I have to check it out occasionally because I know that there have been people that they're like, do you know what's on your Wikipedia? I'm like, no, but there's some scandalous people out there. So yeah.
And
I wasn't cool enough for a Wikipedia, so
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I couldn't find you. Just kidding.
Don't worry, nobody else can either.
So you guys have just with working with Adolfo and everything, I mean, you've got a who's who on this list. I mean, we could spend 10 minutes talking about all the talent that's going to be there and the talent that may still be there. And there's some that excited me, like the Taskmaster, Kelvin Sullivan. I used to watch him all the time back in the 80s. Loved him. Like I said,
Kevin Sullivan will be there on behalf of Heroes and Legends Wrestling. They run a, they were kind of the ones I'm talking about. They do more of a wrestling show with people signing autographs. It's a great show, Heroes and Legends up there in Fort Wayne. But yes, that's Kevin Sullivan will be there on behalf of them.
And you've got quite a few AEW stars. I mean, how did all that come about?
So many AEW people.
So remember when I said, we didn't really, when we first started this thing, we didn't really have a lot of people knocking on our door because even though we'd been in the convention scene for so long, this is still a first-time show.
New venture.
So nobody knew what Squared Circle Expo was. So even though there were managers that we had worked with previously, some of them were hesitant to work with us again, all just because it was a new banner. That's all.
Okay.
So luckily for us, one of those gentlemen from Prestige Talent actually was like, we will go ahead and do business with you again because we had such a great time previously. So he was a guy that represents a lot of the AEW talent. He's a local guy to us. And he said, man, I got this guy, that guy, and this girl. And I said, bring them all. Let's have a party.
And then word of mouth, they'd be like, well, so-and-so's booked. Why am I not booked? They're like, all right, bring them down. So,
yep. You booked a couple of them. And then, all of a sudden we have 9 or 10 of them.
Very cool. I still got my list. That's from when I went through it with Adolfo. If you guys want me to read it off, and then maybe you can throw in the additions if you guys want. Let me get to it here. I'll flip my pages. I'm unprepared. All right, here we go. Maybe. All right, here we go. We got Al Snow, Billy Gunn, Booker T, Charles Wright, Cody Hawk, the manager of champions, Dan the Beast Severn, Darby Allin, Dr. Britt Baker, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, Dustin Rhodes, Francine, Jake the Snake Roberts, Kane, Kevin Thorne, Medusa, Melina, Nyla Rose, Renee Michelle, and here I'm going to butcher his last name again because I can never say it right. Sammy Guevara.
Hey, that was good.
Was good. All right. The Shark Boy, Shauna Reed, Tay Conti, the Boogeyman, the Gun Club, the Headbangers, the Highlanders, and Vicky Guerrero. And then I know you guys have added some more.
I don't remember which ones you said or not.
That's an amazing list of talent, and it's exciting not only for us older fans, but for the younger fans too that are coming to this show because of a lot of the fresh talent with AEW and wrestlers like Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin. And then on the flip side of the coin, you've got Kane, you've got Jake the Snake Roberts. You guys have just got everything from, decades of experience coming to the show.
Exactly. And that's the thing, AEW is so huge right now. So a lot of the younger kids, that's what they know. So it's a great combination of, you know, the young kid that wants to go to this wrestling, you know, convention and show, and then they tell their dad and their mom about it, and they're like, oh, Jake Roberts is going to be there. I remember him. And so it's across the board. It's for all generations. You know, me personally, I grew up in the Attitude Era. So I like the headbangers. I'm personally super excited for the headbangers.
Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah. So it's like my entire, you know, as a wrestling fan and wrestler, you know, I've met a lot of people, but there's a lot that I haven't. So now I get to meet them on a business level. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, Heather, let me ask you this. Is there any talent that's going to be there that you've actually wrestled before?
Yeah. So Shauna Reed, I've wrestled quite a few times,
Okay.
but I'd like to mention that I've wrestled Nyla Rose, and I have a 1-0 record against her.
That's true. You have.
Just throwing that out
All
there.
right. All right.
Yeah.
If you listen,
Let's see. Well, we've also I know I wrestled Cody Hawk, wrestled Shark Boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jimmy Yang. Did you ever work Jimmy Yang?
No.
Okay. All right.
No. The Highlanders.
Yeah.
I didn't know I've refereed their stuff. I know you've worked quite a few of them. So yeah.
Jobber to the stars right here. Let me tell you.
oh, somebody's got to make them look good, right, Ed?
That's right. I was the only one that could do it.
Hey,
So,
question
go ahead.
about the convention. Sorry, Jim. The Squared Circle Expo is basically all wrestling based. And we had mentioned how there was a combination for the other place. Are you guys considering maybe possibly adding like basically role reversal, like bringing in 1 or 2 small horror characters or horror actors?
Let me tell you, the original plan did involve non-pro wrestling stars that had some sort of pro wrestling connection. However, just due to what's going on in the world and stuff like that, we needed to focus specifically on pro wrestling so that we could make it happen right. But in the future, keep your eyes out.
Sprinkle one in here or there.
There you go. There you go.
Definitely food for thought there. We're looking forward to see what happens in the future, because right now, just based on the response you've gotten, I think the show's going to go over very well, and we're really excited to be a part of it.
I hope so. Absolutely. You know, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to be safe. You know, everybody's going to be rocking their masks and, you know, trying to keep 6 feet apart and all that good stuff. But, you know, we're going to have fun. We're going to be safe. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be nice to, you know, be doing something normal. So just being around people is, you know, whether, you know, wearing a mask or still keeping distance. And so I'm excited to see people.
And so is Gizmo.
Yes, this is one of our cats. Sorry.
All good.
Well, with that being said,
you know,
we're going to take a quick break as we come back and talk with Ed and Heather, but we're going to run their commercial for Squared Circle Expo. We'll be right back.
Hey, wrestling fans, are you ready for the biggest wrestling convention in the Midwest? Well, wait no longer. The Squared Circle Expo, May 14th and 15th at Wyndham Indianapolis West Hotel, Indianapolis, Indiana. Featuring the biggest names in wrestling, including 2021 WWE Hall of Fame inductee, the Big Red Machine Kane, Hall of Famer Jake the Snake Roberts, Hall of Famer The Godfather, UFC, WWE legends Dan the Beast Severn, Darby Allin, Dustin Rhodes, The Gun Club, Vicky Guerrero, Booker T, and many more being announced daily. Tickets are going fast, so make sure you get to the website and get your hotel and your tickets to the show at squaredcirclex.com thanks to our friends at Collar and Elbow. Live wrestling Q&A panels, vendors, after parties, the Squared Circle Expo. We'll see you there.
And welcome back to WrestleHorror. We're still talking with Ed and Heather. And Donnie, I know you were mentioning something off air. What did you want to talk about?
Yeah, I wanted to go over the tickets and let them talk a little bit about the ticket packages and what is still available, because there's not really many tickets left, if we're being honest. Like I said, they can only pack so many people into this place, and especially with the stuff that's going on at pandemic and all that, their hands are tied, and there's not many more tickets left out there. So, guys, what all still available for people?
So I can tell you that VIP sold out. Weekend passes sold out. But there are still Friday and Saturday single day tickets available. But I can tell you that Saturday tickets, the last that I was informed, were near 80% sold out. And Friday, I believe, was 60% sold out. So now, in a perfect world, we'd like to have everybody there.
Right.
But in the world we're living in, we had to make concessions to cap our tickets so that we could have this event. So they are going fast. Please do not buy any from any stranger on Facebook. I know that's been a new thing. People say, my girlfriend was in a car accident and I got 2 tickets to this event, and don't buy those. Just make sure you buy them at squaredcirclex.com. Or if you're brave, which I don't recommend, you can try to get them at the door, but they're going to be a little bit more expensive.
If they're available.
If they're available at that time.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the same thing that we're finding out about the photo op opportunities too, that there's not many numbers to be drawn for that, and the tickets for those are going pretty fast.
Then you know what? It's again, it comes down to, in the world we live in now, we had to make some concessions, and so that we could do these things, we had to limit a lot of the tickets. So I believe Kane is 80 or 90% sold out. Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, Jake Roberts. There's so many that are just on the cusp of being cut off. I would definitely pick them up.
And, one thing I noticed that you were talking about, especially on your Facebook page, is the fact that you're doing the safe social distancing thing with these professional photo ops, and you're going to Photoshop out the barrier so everybody is protected.
Correct. So we're going to have, kind of like if me and Heather were here, we're doing the photo op, there'd be a plexiglass hanging right here in between us that we're going to be able to Photoshop that out. So when you get that digital copy of that photo, it's going to look like just like this. There's nothing in between, and you get to keep that memory and all that good stuff.
Excellent. That gives people the opportunity to meet their heroes and their stars and still be safe.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I wanted to touch on the vendors as we move on here as well, because I don't think we really talked about it a lot with Adolfo, but I don't want people just to think that this is going to be, like you said, a wrestling show that has, with our wrestlers just signing autographs with a wrestling show. There's also going to be vendors there. There's going to be stuff to purchase. There's going to be information, free handouts. I'm sure people's going to have. We're going to be there. We're going to have a.
If you guys can't tell. I don't know if you can. It might come as a shocker to anybody watching right now. But we are big Funko Pop collectors. I don't know if you knew that.
I think you got 1 or 2 I've seen before.
So we are going to have vendors of all kinds.
Yeah, comic books, toys,
Funko Pops,
clothing.
I mean, it's going to be one of the coolest
something for everybody.
Markets, yes.
Legit.
Now, I'm sure a lot of it will seg towards wrestling, but wrestling merch is super awesome. But I know we're going to have people with handmade items. I know we're going to have people with, like she said, with clothing, with
artists,
with championship belts. All kinds of stuff is going to be there.
It's a slick looking belt.
Hey, brother, we're going to be crowning the first ever Squared Circle champion at the Squared Circle Expo on Saturday night.
Oh,
cool. Was that done by Sam by chance?
What's that?
Was that belt made by Sam by chance?
It was. So,
all of mine. All of mine are
for God. It's been a decade or more. And
Where'd you guys saying Sam? It's like
I
Samson.
was called Samson,
Samson.
but
Oh, okay.
before being a Funko nerd, we were into collecting championship belts, and I bet we had 300 or more. And once I found out that Samson was able to design them, it was all over.
Yep.
Brother, send me a design of this, send me a design of that. So
Yep, I say all my belts are made by him too. So and, I'll give him a cheap plug on here. Samson Grove. You can find him on Facebook. If you want a quality belt, hit him up. That's your guy.
that's right.
Yeah, he does a lot of good design work. He did one of my t-shirts
Yep.
as the Funko Pop. He did us
No, that's right.
as Funko Pops.
Yep.
So he's very talented.
Nice.
Very cool.
What was you going to say, Jim? You said you had a question or something before I interrupted you rudely.
Oh, no. All I was going to say is, you mentioned the Squared Circle champion, and that's there's going to be a live show on Saturday night to crown that champion.
That is correct. Now, unfortunately, again, due to the way the world is, the ring show itself is sold out. However, I know this isn't live, so we announced today on Facebook, which you'll be able to see, that we did hire an entire film crew that is going to be filming the live event. And once it is done and edited, anybody that had Friday and Saturday night tickets that were not able to come into the event just due to limitations of capacity, we're going to give them a link to a free download for the event.
Very nice. So in the end, everybody gets to watch it.
Absolutely. That was kind of, so one of my biggest things about conventions, and you guys have been to many conventions, I'm sure. And this isn't just a wrestling convention thing. This is just conventions in general. I've been around them now for almost a decade. I've been to good ones, bad ones, and in between ones. So many of them had become basically a cattle call for your money. You'd go into the building, you'd stand in line for an hour, you'd give somebody your money, you'd get an autograph, you'd walk away. You stand in line for an hour, you give somebody money, you walk away. Rinse and repeat. That was one of the things that we weren't about. Obviously, we want to have a good time, and obviously we want to turn a profit. It's a thing about any business, but we're not going to do it at the fans' expense. We want to give them everything that we could possibly give them, whether it is that free digital download of the event, whether that's not charging them to come to our Q&A panels that some places do. We want it's so fan friendly because we're all fans.
Exactly.
Heather's a fan, I'm a fan, Adolfo's a fan. We're all fans. Mm-hmm. So we want to make it as fan friendly and as friendly to your wallet as humanly possible.
That's rare in this day and age, in my opinion, because I've been to many conventions, like you said, good, bad, and in the middle. And your approach to it, I think, is very refreshing, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Absolutely. And that was the thing when I first heard, because I didn't know, I'd never been to one, but we had some buddies go to some conventions. We're not going to name them, go to some conventions that were wrestling based. And they told us that the Q&A panels were $20 or whatever it was. Crazy. On top of what they already paid for admission. And I was like, no, I never want you to be bored, and I never want you to have to leave the building in which we're partying in. So.
And speaking of the building, the venue, I've actually, the other show used to be in that venue at one point.
It did. We had a good relationship with the staff there. And when we thought about where our first show should be, we toyed around with places like Chicago and Atlanta and Louisville and Cincinnati. But we just always came back to Indianapolis because it was that centerpiece to where everything, it's the center of the world. Indianapolis is the center of the world.
Okay. Center of the Midwest, at least.
Exactly. We want to stay away from the coasts, and we want to kind of stay in the middle, and Indianapolis just fit that bill.
So, and with the venue, I mean, there's different rooms, and is it going to be set up to where you're going to have vendors in one room, wrestlers in another room, or is it going to be a mixture? Or
It should be a mixture. Now, I will tell you that probably since the last time that you were there, they did go through some renovations and things that they had to do just to survive during the pandemic. So there is a portion of the hotel that you might have been familiar with that was not available due to them renting it out to kind of supplement their income, which is totally fine. That makes all the sense in the world. But we have so much more of the hotel and so much other places that we're going to try to mix it up. So,
and if I'm not mistaken, the ballroom is what, 10,000 square feet?
That's a question for Adolfo. I am not the square foot guy in any way.
Regardless, it's huge. Like, we have huge ballrooms and, the panel rooms and the VIP, like, they're huge.
Yes.
That's my go-to answer when somebody asks me about square footage. I'm like, it's big. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's funny because a couple of days ago, Donnie sent me a picture of the banner he bought for our booth, and I looked at it and went, "Oh my God, is it going to fit?"
That's why when we got it and held it up, I was like, I hope this fits in there.
You'll make it work.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah. Well, it's like 6 by 4 or something, like 6 feet wide, 4 feet tall or something like that. I was like, I think Adolfo said the booths were like 8 feet. So it's like we should be close. I was like, we'll figure it out.
You should be all right.
Yeah. Touching back on the wrestling show. I mean, on the website, they have all the people that's going to be there for autographs and appearances and pictures, but I haven't seen or heard of anybody or any of the wrestling show itself, the card announced. Are you guys ready to release that or anything? Or
we are. It's actually started earlier today.
Okay.
We teased it. Now, us sitting here, by the time we get off of this, there's a possibility that they've already started rolling out. So I can give you a couple. I'll give you just a couple, just a taste.
We'll take that.
The one Heather is most excited for. I'm going to let her tell you. She's most excited for it.
Yes. So we are going to have a tag match with the Highlanders versus the Headbangers.
There you go.
With special guest referee Hardcore Heather Owens.
Nice.
Yay!
Another
So
bucket
just
list,
that right there, you're going to have the Attitude Era
Mhm.
against the Ruthless Aggression Era. Two teams that, to my knowledge, have never faced off.
Very cool. I
Fair
bet.
enough.
they'll
But I
be
always
excited for
have
it,
to
too.
say this, no matter what, when talking about a wrestling card subject to change. Just for
Absolutely.
legality, I have to put that out there.
Right. Very cool.
And let's see what other one I could give out. Let's see here. Oh, I got one for you. You guys might be unfamiliar with this gentleman. However, he's made a name for himself here locally in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. A guy by the name of Sergeant Chris Ledbetter
Mhm.
will be going one-on-one with WWE New Era star Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's all I can give you right now.
All right. All right,
Okay.
we'll stick with those two. That's two more than we
And
had
there will
before.
be a main event to crown the first Squared Circle Expo champion.
Ah.
Might even be me.
I was
No,
gonna say it
no,
should
I'm
be
old. I can't
Heather
do
and
that.
Donnie in a 3-way, I think.
Look, triple threats were the worst thing ever. I don't miss that. No.
Well, I wasn't saying if I got in the ring again, it'd be 5-star anyway. So,
That's why I was like, I'll ref. I can ref. That's not an issue.
there you
Though
go.
I'm sure when, like, oh, I can't get up too much longer. Like,
I'm
I
sure
gotta
I'll be.
let the joints out.
My position is, in the back somewhere, huffing on a brown paper bag so I don't hyperventilate, and checking my blood pressure. That's usually where I'll be.
There you go.
I'm just going to throw this out there before we wrap this up, but if something happens to your ring announcer, like he gets sick or something or gets poisoned, I'm
Don't put that out there. Don't put that evil out there, Ricky Bobby. We got a great ring announcer by the name of Slick Rick, an amazing talent. But if something were to happen,
Hard subject to change.
hard subject to change, I'll let you know.
Well, I will tell you this. I know Slick Rick. I watch him every Friday at FGW. I love him to death. He's a great announcer.
Oh, are you a local guy here?
I am. I live in Hamilton.
Oh, wow. All right. I might see you on Friday if you're there.
I will.
Maybe. I haven't decided.
No.
Long trip for me.
Like tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, you're going to be out of town, so.
that's all right.
I'm 6'4" and about 300 pounds.
Okay. Well, I'm about 5'9" and pretty close to 300 pounds.
He'll have Zubaz on
Yeah.
and a
There
fanny
you go.
pack.
Yep.
I'm there almost every Friday. So
Awesome. Awesome.
why don't you guys throw out all the information for people that want to find out more about Squared Circle Expo, get tickets, that type of thing. Time is drawing nigh. They need to get them now.
Yes. So you can go check out all the information. It is on the website, which is squaredcirclex.com. That's where you can still get the tickets, the photo ops, the list of vendors, everything's there. You can check us out on Facebook, which is Squared Circle Expo. There's Instagram, there's Twitter.
That's pretty much the whole internet right
'cause
there.
I know Twitter, it's one of those modified squared circle, but
I don't know how to tweet. That's not me.
Right.
Yes.
Same.
I'm old now.
But Facebook and the website, I mean, if you go to the website, you can link to everything through there. So
Yeah.
squaredcirclex.com.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Ed, Heather, it has been a pleasure having you on the WrestleHorror podcast. Really excited about Squared Circle Expo. Looking forward to seeing you both there. And we will see you guys when this airs on Monday. So 4 days after that, we'll see you.
Yeah, we're excited, and hopefully everybody else is excited.
I know Donnie and I are pumped, and you watch your Facebook page, and people are just left and right. So,
Oh, yeah. As I say, Onyx found out, our Arnold Sports World champion. He's like, "You guys going down there?" I was like, "Yeah, we're going down with our WrestleHorror." He's like, "Can I go?" I was like, "Yeah."
That's awesome.
I was like, "Bring your belt with you." Like, "You come with us." So we'll have Onyx there with us. That'll be cool.
Awesome.
so for Donnie Hoover, I'm Meathook Jim, with our guest, Hardcore Heather Owens, Ed Gonzales, Squared Circle Expo. We will catch you on the next episode.
See you
Peace.
guys.
Peace.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media outlets: Facebook.com/WrestleHorror, Instagram @WrestleHorror, Twitter @WrestleHorror, on YouTube at the WrestleHorror channel. And you can also find us on our website, www.WrestleHorror.com.